That.
Well, that was a little odd.
No.
Round two.
You forgot the most important part. You forgot to press go live.
Ah, gotcha.
So now that we are live, hello and welcome to episode take 2 of episode number 147 of The Other Side of the Ball.
That's
Corey,
great.
Chris, and Double A here with you on this very hot, humid Wednesday evening. Anyhow, Corey, go ahead and finish your story.
Well, first, that's not me in the picture. Much better looking. Second, first ever haircut. Third, talking weather. You guys are probably dealing with like 190. It's only it's 100 degrees lower over here, but we still think it's hot. And thunder's cracking outside. So,
Well, I mean, it's 5:30 in Vegas, and it's 100 and. I think when I was coming upstairs from downstairs, it was 121 in my backyard.
you heard my wife.
What'd she say?
She said, "Hell no."
Hell no. They were dying. They were dying in Florida, right? It was 101 and humid. They don't know about the dry heat, gentlemen.
Well, you don't, and the thing about it is you don't know about the dry heat until you're in it. It's one thing when they talk about the humidity, and I'll tell you what, if it's 110 degrees and humid, okay, I don't want any part of it. But I much rather have the Florida heat, and I've been out in the Florida heat during the summertime because we've done family reunions down there during that period, and I much rather be in that than 100 and friggin' 15 degrees and dry. It sucks.
Well, I was fortunate the one year that I was in New Jersey, it wasn't as humid as it can be. So I really haven't experienced humidity at its all-time high, and I don't know if I could handle that. Well, I do know this. The chicken grease would be sweating even more fluidly as it does now here in Vegas, needless to say. But however, we are here to talk things going on in the nice, wonderful world of A7FL football. And I guess our discussion for today is, take a look back as we look forward to also naming our finalists for these wonderful season awards. As Kennel 9 says, Florida weather is crazy.
To say the least.
I had to pull out an old picture of John Gauss, from back in the days.
Dude, when I saw that up there, the first thing that came to my mind was Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, no, well, there were other families from my daughter's dance school that were down there, and behind their Airbnb was just a pond, and this little guy was hanging out. So, my dumbass got pretty close.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've had my times with those little guys in Cayman. I was in Mexico playing golf with a bunch of people that we're hanging out with, and hit a shot, and I'm walking down to find my ball because I know it's right by the edge of the water, and I'm walking down there, and I pass by a sign that said basically be careful of the Cayman or danger Cayman, something along those lines. And I blew right past it, hung over, walked right past it, start walking towards my ball, and just happened to look up, and I saw 3 or 4 sets of eyes looking back at me yeah, keep coming. I could have sworn I heard one of them say, dark meat. But
Oh boy. Depending on where you're at in the South, even those Gators have that sensibility. But
right,
yeah, Cayman, the much lesser known Central and South American cousin of the American crocodilians. So we're always whenever you're traveling through the Amazon, always keep your eyes out for the baby black caiman, the BBC, because you got to watch out for those. Because wherever those are, you'll find the big mamas.
yeah, and they're
So
no joke.
yeah, in the Amazon, watch out for the BBC, the big baby black caimans, and because their mom, the big mama is somewhere around them,
I'm just
and
gonna leave that one alone, Corey.
they're ornery. Anyways,
Uh,
just nice segue into. Actually, this isn't John Gauze, guys. Ace Boogie. This is actually Snags Sosa, also known as Angelo Lewis. Just a throwback picture of him in the early Baltimore days of the A7FL. So,
Now hold on. Now before we get to the actual subject of the day's show, some interesting interesting news taking place. But hold on, I'm trying to put it up here. As it's been kind of been spreading out there, that as I turn the volume down on my doggone phone, but it's been put out there that if I can pull it up here, hold on, where are you? I know you're here somewhere, but it's being put out there that Josh Bender, formerly of the Tampa Nightcrawlers, is taking his talents to Vegas and is going to be a part of the Vegas Hunters for 2026.
that's interesting.
I have seen the posts. Mason has made them public. I saw an earlier one. They did a nice little graphic. Interesting. What's interesting is even though that sounds like a big move, it's really not. Um, it's not our first cross country.
No,
Um,
it's not.
free agent pickup. But if the Gold can get a guy, that's actually a picture of Dub playing baseball. If the Gold can get a guy or a couple of guys like Bender, those guys that we've been mentioning as the up and coming skill players for the Gold, they might be able to make a little bit
A little
more
bit of hay.
happen if they have extra time for offensive plays to develop. And Josh is also going to probably play on defense for them, so that could also help there. It's a good move. It's one of those this early in the offseason. I'll believe it when I see it, when guys have to travel that far. But shout out to Milk and Cookies, Jordan Davidson, because if guys are just moving out basically for Gold workouts, the
Well,
Gold might as
but
well sign one of them, right?
this was the Hunters, not the Gold.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. For some reason I thought I saw Mason post it, and then I just assumed it was for the Gold.
No, Mason supposedly, according to himself, is going back to play with the Hunters in 2026.
Well, then there's even more off-season moves going on, huh? I mean, in New Jersey, the conversation might be, if people cared enough, that two relatively big name guys from the era past, right? These guys are no longer starters in our league, but they were effective backups this year. But they're more legacy early A7 quarterbacks. CJ, the backup for the Animals, formerly starter for BIC a long time ago, and our friend CP. Apparently, there's people are a little grumpy in New Jersey for whatever reason. I'll get back to you on the details, but I'm sure they're not worth the investigation. But if they are, I'll let you know.
Interesting. So, perhaps sadness or boredom, or perhaps they just want to have another challenge. That's very interesting to see here.
I
And of
will
course,
say, I think one of the inciting incidents, right, the things that started whatever this feud is, does have an A7 off-season relation because shout outs to the A7. Corey needed to play in Vegas. I did play in Vegas. You guys just missed it. You missed that part of the Corey Hammond lore.
Actually, technically, you weren't in Vegas.
That's true. That's true. I actually was not ever an active in Vegas player. I did play for a Vegas team
Yes.
against an all-star team that I was upset to find out would eventually make up the bulk of Siquidit and other all-stars around the division. That was fun. Yeah,
Interesting.
Arizona was where Corey Hammond played. But getting back to the nonsense, that touch, I mean not touch, that tackle beach football league sponsored by Dexter McCluster had some of the A7 guys out, and according to Ken Stansberry, the A7 guys took care of business because they were just some. And to quote an A7FL personality about the Ohio division, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who this person was talking about the Ohio division, but they're basically just FedEx drivers and Starbucks brewistas out there running around getting destroyed by the A7 competition. But I might be a little hyperbolic.
Hyperbolic. Does anyone know the final score of that game between the Trenton BIC and the Beach Football League All Stars?
I have zero specifics other than the general consensus that it was mostly a belt to a certain part of the body situation.
Oh, okay.
But the phrasing in which I heard that is there was a couple of NFL guys out there that took NFL snaps and such. But other than that, A7 guys were dominating. So that's the truth of what I heard, and I'm just embellishing it a little bit for entertainment purposes only.
Well, if anyone from the BIC is watching this, if you want to come on and tell us what happened and give us the 411, you are more than welcome to let us know, because we would love to know what happened in
Or
this
hey, just
particular game.
spill the CP tea. Maybe we can get him on, but a little late notice. But if he's watching,
Yes.
what's going on, bro? Anyway, more exciting news. The season's over. If anybody knew, breaking news it is. So that means, guys, we could start this show off and then get to our second topic after. We could start this show off, and since we're doing postseason awards, let's do a postseason poll and just maybe get the money's worth out of this newfound authority we have over the conversation in the A7FL. Guys,
Well,
let's
what's a
do a top
postseason
7
poll?
right now.
That's what?
Let's do a top 7 postseason. How do we rank these teams now that the season is concluded?
Well, I mean,
Well,
wouldn't you have to go? Are you talking a top 7 now that the season's over? So wouldn't you have to go by how they finished in the playoffs?
I mean,
BIC number 1.
But they're in multiple rounds of the playoffs, Chris. And obviously, if we're going by, like a metric for the standings, we could probably, do it, likewise that the league does it to decide seeding, like points against and power points. But we'd also just, let's just do it by opinion. You can make the opinion that this team is over this team, even though that team beat this other team, and there's other teams that beat that. Like I don't mind. I think it's more enjoyable for our audience if there is not a consensus, right? Like when we get down to 4, 5, 6, and 7, we're probably going to disagree. I mean, obviously 1 and 2 is pretty easy. 3 and 4 fall in line. But there's tons of conversation to have, and if we want to start at the top, because I think that's the easy one, and work our way down, we might find that it gets crowded towards the end of the list. Because I'll be honest, guys, watching the A7 this year, there was a little bit of a more crowded upper tier, in my opinion, at least this year. as composed as compared to recent years.
So who's your consensus number one?
I mean,
Has to be the champs, you would think.
we could be contrarian and maybe try to break down that the Insomniacs this or whatever, but
No, I'm
I,
not going to be
I would
anything.
say,
It's the champs of the champs,
yeah,
so they're
I
number
would
one.
say just like every other year, the number one and number two are pretty much the teams that had the opportunity to get hardware, right? I mean,
Yep.
3 and 4, it's a hypothetical what if situation, but
Well, I
one and
mean, 3 and
two,
4 should be animals and sick with it.
right? And but in which order, I think you can make you can have a
You can make the
discussion.
argument for.
Yeah, so 1 and 2, I think there is no argument. Let's kind of have the consensus. Number one are the champs, the Trenton BIC, and number two, the former defending champs. And who knows? Maybe they'll go 3 out of 4, right? That's on the table. But
Yep.
the
It's
Las
possible.
Vegas Insomniacs are absolutely the number two with BIC's number one.
Okay. So then we've got to think about who's number 3. And for me, it's between obviously what we just said, sick with it, and the animals.
I would say we for number 3. I would definitely have a conversation that includes those teams. I would argue that if you really look at it and we're saying, the champs are BIC,
Mhm.
then you could make an argument in this top upper tier that the Renegades, who did lose to BIC in the playoffs and didn't make it as far as these other teams, but I think they were as close, if not closer, than any other team against BIC, and that happened twice this year. There is more to that conversation. They did lose other games, right? They didn't just lose to BIC. They lost to the Animals, I believe, and the Watchmen.
Well, I don't care. The thing about it for me is simple, and that is if you were in the final 4, you're part of the top 4.
Yeah, I would agree. And as Kennel Nine says, animals over sick. I would make the argument that in the game, right? We saw the animals have a good body of work, but if we're just talking that final 4, Sikwit was in the game against BIC, and some could even argue that they had a better chance to beat BIC than even the Insomniacs did the in the championship game. Now, I don't think that that's necessarily fair to say. I think BIC was in a totally different situation. But my
Here's
argument,
Let
my
me ask.
argument would be sick at 3. What do you guys say?
Well, that's
here,
my
here,
argument. It's sick is at 3. But go ahead, Dub.
here's my thing of what I say to that. I think, and very rarely this happens in a loss, but I really do think, and I really do believe that the effort that Sick gave against the eventual champions earned Sick a lot of respect and actually helped Sick trend upward, if you will, amongst that upper echelon in the league. Now, again, you normally don't say that about a team that loses, in the playoff rounds. But I really do think that because the biggest question we had about Sick was, okay, could they be competitive against a team not named the Insomniacs, or how would they fare against a team not named the Insomniacs? And like I said, and I still believe this without question, again, even though be it in a defeat, Canyon Stone King played his best A7 game, albeit in defeat, against the eventual champions. And I think Sick could use that momentum, albeit from a loss. I think they can carry that momentum into 2026 and perhaps finally, get over that last hurdle, and maybe perhaps they might be the ones to perhaps bring the title back to Vegas, which of course is easier said than done. But however, I would say Sick would be 3 just by way of how they, in a sense, measured up and really played very well against the eventual champions in the
Well,
Trenton
and I think
BIC.
that one thing that we have to kind of look at too is Kendall's talking about. I'm sure what he's thinking about is the overall play for the season. That's not what this is about. This is about the postseason. And Corey said it. This is about the top 7 after the playoffs and championship game. So when I'm looking at that, I've got to definitely put the Animals at number 4 and stick with it at number 3.
Yeah, I think,
and it's not a knock.
No, I mean, well, listen, they didn't win the championship, so they're not going to be number 1.
Yeah.
If they're not happy with number 3, they could just beat the Insomniacs. I mean, that would be a simple solution.
Or beat number 1 and number 2, and that's an easy solution.
Yeah, right. And I think in previous years, I think this is why Sick had an Insomniac type DO line, it would be a different conversation. I don't think that that's necessarily untrue. But then they wouldn't be the same team. They would be a one of the best teams in the league.
But there's a lot of ifs when you're talking about that type of stuff. I mean, if your aunt had a penis, she'd be your uncle. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yes. Well, yeah. She might still be. I mean, don't sell yourself short, Chris. There's interesting things to talk about. But
that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, to save us, what I will say is, say what you want about the unfortunate way that it worked out that the defending league champions didn't play the championship game home. They played the Final Four at home. What was great about having the crossover Final Four is, especially with a conversation like this, we don't have to be hypothetical. What would Sick Would It do against the top New Jersey teams? And look, some would argue you take what happened that weekend with a grain of salt because it's so hot, but whatever. It is what it is, play football. The fact that we did get these crossover games, I think it really solidified not only that game and that effort against BIC for Sick With It, but the body of work for Sick With It all season, because, look at their only real, poor performance. It's, early in the season as I think they were still growing as a team, and a lot of their key players were learning how to play the A7. And if it had only been a Vegas playoff, it would be hard to argue that Sick With It did enough to be considered above some of those upper echelon New Jersey teams. I would argue the New Jersey division was extremely competitive this year, but when we're doing this list, I feel very comfortable with all the things that we're mentioning, also confirming that, I think the third best team postseason, after it's all said and done in 2025, the third best team in the league was Sick With It.
Yep. Would agree.
And I'm glad you agree with me here, because start number 4, Chris, because I think we may disagree.
Well, number 4 was Animals.
Well, it may be the Animals.
I can't think right now. Now you might think Renegades. I have to go with the Animals. They made the Final Four, and the to me, 1 through 4 can be argued and batted back and forth, but you made the playoffs. You're in the top 4. 5, 6, and 7 can be an argument, but to me, it isn't an argument. Animals are number 4.
Yeah, and I think there is a common opponent that the two teams that I'm discussing did play in the Watchmen.
Yes.
What I would say if we were to just have a discussion over 4, because I think the Animals do end up probably getting our consensus that that's where they belong. But I mean, if you look at the playoff run for the Animals, they did not look towards the end of the season, really after the BIC game, in which they lost, similar situation to Sick, to BIC, and David Tender got hurt. They didn't really look the same all season. In the first round of the playoffs, they had their best game as an organization, albeit against a Captain America-less Virginia Heathens. So, it was a dominant performance, but, that team played 4 different guys at quarterback, and it really didn't matter. They were just a superior opponent. But then the next week, the Animals could have easily lost that game. in a sloppy performance against the Watchmen. Now, the Watchmen do a lot, in my opinion, to make you look worse, but especially on the offensive side of the ball with their defense. They make you look worse than you probably are. But I mean, there were times in that game where, us calling the game for that Watchmen Animals playoff game, it felt like the Animals didn't even really want to win it at times. Now they did pull it out, and it was actually kind of a miraculous thing from their defense to have put them in the position that they were to win. But they hand the ball off late in that game. The Watchmen do to Dirty Dan. It almost was reminiscent of what the Seahawks did against the Patriots. If the Watchmen figure that out, it's the Watchmen that we're just automatically putting in the 4 spot. But I think that the argument for the Renegades to Jean, right, would be that, if we give Stick With It as much credit for being competitive with BIC, who are the number 1 team on this list, you can make the argument that the Renegades were 1 play away twice from
Yes.
beating BIC. And
Yes.
we
Agreed.
can make the argument, and then you guys could disagree, but I think if we're making the argument at 4, that would be my counterpoint, is that yes, Animals ended up there, but there was no head to head where Animals and Renegades played. And at the end of the season, if I'm a team which, newsflash, which will make a lot of people in the A7 happy, I'm not on one of those teams. But if I was, I don't think that I would rather play the Renegades than the Animals, at least in the end of the playoff run, based on the way that they were kind of performing, in my opinion. But
Well, and I
what do you
mean, you
guys
would
think?
be having a different conversation had the Renegades pulled out either one of those games. But the fact of the matter is they didn't, and a win is still a win, a loss is still a loss. So in my eyes, that's all I can go off of. Closeness only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. It ain't going to help you win a football game. So if you when the clock strikes 0, if you're up by points, I don't care if it's 1, and I'll steal one of your lines. The blowout win last year by the Insomniacs over the Trenton BIC by 1 point. It's still a win. So I don't care how that all breaks down. The fact of the matter is the Animals were in the playoffs, and unfortunately the Renegades weren't. So would we be having a different conversation all the way around if the Renegades were to have pulled off a maybe what some would call an upset win over BIC? Yes. Total different conversation. But for this, in my mind, just like you can't be the man until you beat the man, then in this case, you have your top 4 because those are the top 4 teams that made it to the playoffs. Period. So I would be able to say real easy, the Animals are number 4, Renegades are number 5 in my mind.
So Dub, you got Animals 4-2, 4 also.
I do.
All right.
Again,
So let's do Animals 4. So we got BIC, Insomniacs, Sick Animals.
Yep.
yes.
And then 5, I mean, is kind of wide open, because then it kind of opens it up to all of the other teams that lost before the Final 4. And I mean,
but if we're gonna talk about, this is where, to me, like I told you, 5 through 7.
Yeah.
This is where we can have some fun,
Right.
because we can have a debate, because none of these teams made the Final 4. So if I have to look at it, what I would look at is what I said, and that is the Renegades, as tough as they played BIC, as tough as they played some of the other teams, I look at the Renegades as number 5. And I would almost say that hands down.
And I think, if I'm arguing that they should be 4 and they're not, I would probably argue that they're 5. I think the other teams that are kind of in that mix, it starts to spread out, because you look at the Renegades. Well, the Renegades had a really tough time with the QC Crush. Now, I wouldn't put the QC Crush in the top 7, but I'll mention them. And then you look at a team in the Watchmen, which almost beat the Animals, could have been in the Final 4. They did beat the Renegades in the regular season in overtime in Baltimore head to head. Since it was a home game for the Watchmen, maybe that goes either way. And then I know everybody's doing it and it's kind of cool, but the U also do exist. So even though they lost to the Watchmen in the playoffs, that was also an away game, and that game came down to the last possession. So, with the remaining teams that I think are in that echelon, I think it would be, a discussion. We pick three out of the four: Renegades, Watchmen, the U, and
Well, let me just say this, Mr. Webster. You are 100% correct, but that's why it's called a debate.
a lot.
Because that's when you go over all the ifs, ands, and buts, is to go through these, and that's why it's a debate. Nobody
and
is, other than the top four, or excuse me, the top two, which is the champion and the runner-up. Outside of that, you could debate every single last position if you wanted to.
Yeah, and it's an opinion. So if you guys disagree, keep commenting, and we'll push the viewership of the video up. That's the
Exactly.
point of these guys. Support the league. Don't be a hater. Just press the like button. It won't hurt you. It will barely affect the algorithm for you, by the way. So yeah, I think what are the four teams for the last three spots? 5, 6, 7. We got the Renegades, Watchmen, the U, the QC Crush. Um, is there a third team we could consider in that echelon from the Vegas side, or was the Stealth just too much of an unproven commodity to really give them that boost up into the top 7 or the conversation at least?
Well, my question then would be, if you name the QC Crush, what was their final record?
I believe they were 3-4 with their loss in
Yes, the Crush were 3-4.
the playoffs.
The Renegades finished 5-3. But
Right.
here's the fascination about the Renegades. If you look at their 3 losses, the 2 to the BIC,
Right.
and then the 1 to the Watchmen,
Yes.
their total combined points of losses is an astounding 7 points.
Yeah. And two of those games were lost in overtime.
Were 1-point losses, and then in the playoffs they lost by 5. So
Well,
so I mean,
but that goes back to what I said earlier, which is
that's about
very
as
simple.
much of a what if as you can get.
Yeah. And that's why I said that I felt that the Renegades were number 5, and how you want to put in number 6 is completely something that we can debate. But I would think in my eyes, it'd be the Watchmen.
I think Watchmen 6, Renegades 5, Watchmen 6, and then the 7th team. Look, the U.
How'd they finish?
They I believe they were
3-4.
1 of
3-4.
Okay, so that one of their
how
losses.
Did Stealth finish?
The Stealth finished.
They were 4-3, weren't
4-3, yes. And here's the funny thing: they gave up more points than what they scored. Their plus minus is like -9 because they gave up 178 and only scored 169.
What team was that?
This is the Stealth we're talking about here.
Do you think the Stealth showed enough in those games against the top tier opponents? Because they won 4 games, right? And no disrespect to them, but the 4 games they won were against the Gold and the Hunters, correct?
That would be correct.
No disrespect to them, because I mean, listen, if you're playing the 2 and number 3 teams on this list, and you happen to not beat them, I don't think that you deserve to get punished for those losses. However,
they got punished enough in the losses anyway.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's a punishment enough already. But if their only real victories are against the winless Hunters and the 1 win Gold, are they a better team than the Patterson U that look, they lost some games and they forfeited because they didn't go out to Ohio to play the Crush, which is one of the 3 wins for the Crush, by the way.
Correct.
Yeah, I
But
would have liked to have seen.
I think the eye
that
test,
game.
would show me that when
It would be the U in my mind. I'm
the
not
U
gonna
roll a team out
I'm
there,
not
they're
gonna
gonna beat the
pussyfoot around
South.
it. It'd be the U.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I think that's fair. Look, they're probably looking at a 7th place finish as the U, and I think Tajon Webster agrees with us. You look at the U, and they're looking at 7. Whether they're off this list or they're at 7 or even at 6, they're probably looking at this season as a disappointment. And one of the interesting things for the 2026 season is how the U come back and what they look like. No info yet, but it is something to be seen. So, Dub,
And of course,
with a cool 55 minutes remaining on the clock, we have our postseason top 7. You want to read it off for us, or just dictate it by memory?
well, once again, it is the Trenton BIC at 1, the Insomniacs at 2, Cichlid at 3, the Animals 4, Renegades 5, the Watchmen 6, and are we putting the Patterson U at number 7?
Yes.
And of course, as we all know, it is Huff Retirement Watch. What will one of the all-time greats do? Will Huff call it a career, or will he try to give it one more go? That remains to be seen. Hopefully, we can get Huff on the show to where he can actually make the announcement on the show, if and when he makes that decision on what he wants to do with his tremendous A7FL Hall of Fame career. But again, just to go back again, the top 7 post-season edition, the champs at number 1, the BIC, the Trend BIC. Number 2, the champions the last 2 seasons before 2025, the Las Vegas Insomniacs. Number 3, Las Vegas Cichlid, gave a great valiant effort against the eventual champions, the BIC, and actually boost their stock for 2026. Number 4, the Renegades. Can they take that next step?
4 animals. 4 animals.
4 animals,
Yeah,
I'm
4
sorry.
animals. Yeah.
Renegades, number 5. Can the Renegades take that next step and perhaps knock on the door of trying to be in that upper echelon for 2026, given the fact that they had the eventual champions on the ropes twice and could not get the knockout blow, if you will, in the championship rounds, using a boxing term, if you will. And, of course, coming up on the bottom, we have the Baltimore Watchmen. What will they look like going into 2026? And, of course, the Patterson U, another pillar of the league. Of course, all thoughts are wondering, what will the great Quadrille Huffington do for 2026? That remains to be seen. But that is...
I wish his name was Huffington.
Well,
Huffington?
Yeah.
The Huffington Post.
Exactly.
Indeed.
That's a play call in the U playbook.
Huffington Post?
No, I'm joking.
No, but we will see if Huff will indeed come back, or will he call it a career? Will he hang up the spikes? That remains to be seen. But a lot of history took place during season 11 of the A7FL. And there comes Missile throwing some shots.
Hey, Mizzle, calm yourself down, or I'll join your guys' NFL preseason and make it like 17 hours again. Listen,
I don't think
I get my licks back if I need them.
I don't think if we really did a 17-hour show, that would be a lot of coffee.
I'd quit.
That would be a lot of coffee for some people.
Well,
Dude,
that one time I did the NFL preview with you guys when
Yes,
it
we
was
did.
over.
Yeah.
It was like 2:30 in the morning here, and your faces wanted nothing to do with more NFL talk. And I literally don't think I've had a public NFL appearance since. So guess what? If Mizzle, go ahead.
We're still trying to figure out, because we've been talking about bringing back Talking Ish and doing our NFL preview and our talks. We just haven't been able to. And Mizzle's saying that he's ready. Well, I'm
He's
still
ready
waiting
with
for
he's ready with a limp Shadur Sanders, 13 for 23, 130-yard take in a preseason. But I'm ready for it.
Look. I'm ready. I'm ready for a little talking-ish. I'm ready for a little NFL football talk, and I'm waiting for the guys to let me know when we could do it.
That is not the forum.
But I will just say this, and we'll get off it. But it will be a collaboration show because it will be a Milsel and Dub / Talking Is / perhaps a Joffo collaboration, and any other people that want to chime in and talk about the NFL because this is how we. This is how we.
Josh are going to go at it again. I love it.
Yes, a lot of passion. So this is how it normally happens. We bring our football experts and we talk about the season. Mainly what we do is we preview the week 1 matchups, and then as always, we give our Homer Super Bowl picks and our non-Homer Super Bowl picks. As
that's just so weak, bro. You could just say that the San Francisco 49ers aren't going to win it this year because you know they won't. But no, I'm just joking.
You got to give your but just because we say Homer pick doesn't mean that you necessarily.
No, I'm just throwing shade.
Well, considering that this year the Road Super Bowl 60 is actually back home at Gene's Stadium at Great America for the first time in 10 years. Which, hey, I mean, anything is possible. I mean, we'll see. I mean, can the Sheagles, as Chris likes to call them, can they be the first NFC team to repeat since his beloved Cowboys did it damn near 32 years ago? That remains to be seen. But here, as we talk about and I'm going to, we talk about this
episode of The Other Side of the Ball brought to you by The Mizzle and Dub Show, wherever podcasts are sold. All right, so now that we're out of the paid programming,
well, how about doing that for Talking Ish?
Well, when you comment with your show title and we leave it up as a pinned comment. Well, I think what Dub is trying to do, and I'm fighting him with all of my being, is segue back into.
Yep.
Listen, it's becoming a tradition on the other side of the ball that not only do we decide really, because it's really us deciding, guys. Yeah. The postseason awards. There's some other postseason accolade conversation that we like to have, that we like to engage our fans with. And if you're watching this, we'd like you to be a part of. Coming up in coming up on this season of Other Side of the Ball, on this offseason, guys, we will be, just like last year, detailing the top 7 at all of the major positions, and then taking that list, working in a chemistry lab, mixing compounds and scientific components and beakers and all types of crazy shit. And we will find out the top 50 players of the 2025 A7FL season. And I think for the rest of the show, guys, fans and panel, let's just have a preview of some of the players and discussions that will be had when we go over those top 50 performers. Now, I got something I could say, which I think is an interesting way to look at the list. But if you guys, Reed Richards, a.k.a. Mr. Fantastic, will make the equations. Yes. And Galactus is still only angry at Pedro Pascal being in every major multimedia. So we'll work on that, Galactus. I had the gray hair and the ability to say 3-syllable words for Reed Richards. I'm fat, so it
don't go with the gray hair, please. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, for Reed Richards, man, that's like the perfect. I got the perfect touch of gray. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wish I had just a touch.
With gray hair,
not skinny. It's not working.
Gray hair comes wisdom, my friend. Use that wisdom.
With gray hair comes gray responsibilities. I don't know what that means, but it's true.
And great power.
So listen.
Yeah. I always thought that was just age.
Yeah. Because
I'm just old. I mean,
with age comes years. right? It's really just it.
Yeah, yeah. With age, you just get older.
Which with age you become older.
Yes.
Spoken by
And
the true
sweat
wise man.
and sweat more chicken grease.
Yep.
Gross, but true. Yeah, man. Listen, when we look at this list, I think an interesting thing we'll look at is how dominant the wide receivers were as the skill
Yes.
guys
Yes.
this year.
Yes.
And when you look and conversely, when you look at the running back totals, again, there's probably an adjustment we would have to make to some of the statistics. The New Jersey, like Northeast games of the week stats are usually pretty accurate. We have guys, you know, in the booth on staff doing those stats in real time.
The great Cole
Um,
Gardella. Shout out to him.
Shout outs to Cole making it to championship games for Ultimate Frisbee. Um,
Oh
Oh,
yes,
nice.
he's
that
out there
that
balling.
that is his sport.
Um,
Yes, indeed.
Would you
Rob
say
Fabian
balling or
still.
would you say frisbeeing?
Yes. He's
Okay,
out
just
there.
checking.
He's out there disking. He's disking, bro.
Diskin. There you go.
He's disking.
Like he's
Um,
Kerry Von Erich.
yeah, he's got that. He's got his disc in his hand and he's just whipping it all around. Um,
God.
what? I mean, that's the game, isn't that Ultimate Frisbee? That's
Is
what
that
people.
I mean he's married?
I don't think he's not married unless
Oh,
something
okay.
happened quickly. Like that would have been, you know, an Anna and an Anna and Hans type situation to do a Disney reference. Shout outs to the mouse. But yeah, so listen, as great as the wide receivers have been, running backs, uh, it's even hard to look at RTC's stats and say that he had a dominant season. Now we know better, but
I think it's weird, right? 2 years ago, I would say that there was some dominant running backs, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
saw it, and we even called it. We even put them in our top 50. Most of them made the top 20. This year, the dominant players were wide receivers,
Without question.
without a
Without
shadow of a
question.
doubt.
Without
I
question.
mean, it's to do the top 7 at wide receiver is going to be one of the toughest things.
Yes, I would agree because unfortunately somebody's going to be left off,
Right.
and it sucks because I mean there was a lot of great wide receiver play from all lengths of our league this past season. I mean, newcomers, of course. I mean, we can.
You had newcomers, you had guys that have been here for years just all of a sudden turn it on. You had guys that have been here a couple of years that were just showing off. You had guys that were rookies that just friggin' dominated. I mean, it was all over the board this year from
Yes.
a wide receiver standpoint.
Yes.
And I'm very proud of that being an ex-wide receiver. I love the fact that the wide receivers were so dominant this year.
And a current wide receiver coach.
True.
very true. And there's a lot more to discuss. And what I'm going to do to kind of put it in perspective is just real quick, just rapidly go through the last year's top 50.
Okay.
And if let's first start as I rip through these names. Let's start with a maybe a pessimistic view, and you guys tell me of any of these names that stand out as guys that probably won't make this list for whatever reason. And I'll start with 50. At that time, it was running back for Snow Tribe, Mike Liberty. 49, running back, Nightcrawlers, Devon Gray. 48, Yella Peasy. Once upon a time, there was a team known as OTT. 47 was Divine Epps Animals. 46, I just have down Ramsey guys. OTT. 45, there was,
I think they're going to make it again.
The Ramsey
There was-
clan.
Yeah, I think the Ramses are making it again.
45, there was once a team known as I think it's Kin City Chaos. Javi Grace. I'm not sure how you pronounce Kin. CIN, not sure. 44 was James Mitchell, who played consequently for the Heathens this year. 43, Morris Sick. Fox was on there. Wow, that's a name that stands
I
out
would I
right
would
away.
basically I'll stop you there and I say that I don't think Fox is going to make it again.
I mean, that's fair
he
to
wasn't a
say.
full-time player.
Fair to say for sure. What could have been, gentlemen? We can maybe get back to that. 41, Savion Cunningham. Whatever team he is, was, or will be on. Mayweather, running back U. Pack Money, return specialist BIC. I got Amari Thomas, who was Watchman that year, Animals this year. Drizzy Pope, once formerly known Kin City Chaos. Cal Bone, Watchman.
Ken. So it's not about Cincinnati and Sin.
Oh, that's what it is. I forgot. It's been a while since we talked about the Kin City. I got an Oos over here, a Cunningham, Ametrius. Excuse me. I always mess up his name according to his close relatives and significant other. There's no U, but it is Ametrius Hall. 32, Lavish T. It might not be on the list. And then
Well, I
there's
didn't
Webb.
think and I'm going to ask the question, but Lavish didn't play at all this year.
No,
He did not.
So
No.
I can guarantee you he won't be on the list.
Listen. You're giving us the hot takes tonight, Chris. No, I'm just joking. And then we got Webb. Listen, I think Webb's
Webb
not
didn't
making
play
any
either.
lists.
He didn't
Webb-
play either, so he won't be on the list.
Webb's not making any lists. Then we got Lugo, Sick, Huff, Sire
Also didn't play.
Hancock,
He won't be on there.
Sire Hancock, Reeves. I think he might make a jump. Manny Diaz.
I think he would make a jump.
Keno Thomas, Shep, Dondre Haynes, Jonathan Clark, Derek Johnson, number 76 for the U.
Well, hold on, just real quick. Shep, we put on the list last year because of his cornerback play.
Yes.
Correct.
This year
he was a wide receiver. I mean, a running
back. Oh, which by the way,
So-
cool case. Happy birthday, my guy.
Yes,
Oh,
happy
happy
birthday,
birthday.
brother. But that to me is just one of those situations where you look at Cool Case and okay, is he going to make the list now as a running back rather than the cornerback he made last year?
If any cool case related thing makes this list, it's whoever came up with that animation that they did in the season. You know, the cartoon they drew, the A7 cartoons, and it was
yeah.
There was like Yodi Mac was one of them, and then they had Shepard was talking like he was in.
They even put one up there of me.
Oh, they did you too? Oh man,
Yeah.
They also did one of the Force.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So shout outs to that guy.
I want to say that was Andrew Lou Lamont from Sick that did the animation.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
yes, I think that was. Get a tattoo from him if you're out in Vegas. If you're out in Jersey, give me a call. My wife tattoos. Okay, so then 20 Ole, 19 Isaac, 18 Bagway, 17 Logo, 16 Quani, 15 Tender, 14 Buck, OG Buck, that is, 13 Hamilton, 12 H3, 11 Sowell, Josiah Sowell. And then we got Deontay Henderson, Jeremy Geary, Kenny Max, Terry Codrington, Valley, Palmer,
Gary
Worthy.
isn't going to make it again.
Nope. I mean, don't go out on a limb with some of these things, Chris. I don't want you to be vulnerable with these very hot things.
With these picks there, I'm like, he ain't going to make it.
You're like, I'm sorry to say, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to break your hearts, but the guy
hate to break it to you, Gary's not going to make it because he didn't play last season.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think so. We got so we got Sterry Codrington 7, Valley 6, Palmer 5, Worthy 4, Shuford 3, RTC 2, Danye Lions number 1.
Numero uno.
And look, there's a lot of guys that obviously are going to be back on this list. Let's talk about guys that I think after we talk about the guys that are glaring, that played, right? Or we could talk about the guys that didn't play and, what their replacement did to step in. Like, for instance, I'm looking at number 32, Lavish, and the weapon that he was. I know Siobhan Richardson was a different type of weapon for Sick With It, but when they lose Lavish, I think to be as good as they were, they needed Siobhan Richardson to be the player that he was right away. And when you're on a team with Darren Palmer and you
you know
lead
what
that
though,
team,
I'm gonna say it. I think that you know, Siobhan having his place that he had as a wide receiver was a great addition to Sick. But I really, really, really think and believe that if they had Lavish, it would have been there's a couple of more games that I think they could have won
We're
because of his abilities.
well, they only lost two.
well, but where they missed Lavish the most was obvious in the return game, in the 3-on-1 return game. That's where they missed.
Well, I don't know that I could say that because
Yeah,
Siobhan picked that up.
He
And
did,
he
but
had some big returns. But
true,
I
but
will
Lavish
say
was Lavish
I
was
will
a
say that Lavish, it was a big miss without him being there because he was out there on every return.
yes.
And Siobhan
what I
wasn't on
think
every return.
as electrifying of a returner he was. I think the reason the overall returns in the A7 went down this year is the emphasis that I think teams seeing that the deciding play of the championship game was a return. I think a lot of these top teams they really focused on how to improve the coverage and our list when we went over the stats in 2024 the league leader was Pack Money with 9 returns. And Savion had a ton,
What's up, Mr.
Danye
Gaither?
Lyons had a ton. The league leader, I think, at best guesstimate, because I think some of the numbers were off. We talked about guys had like 4. That's a huge drop off, and I
Well,
think some of that goes to the improving the teams improving as coverage guys, whether by personnel or actually practicing the thing. But it
and I
definitely
think
is
that,
interesting.
but when you look at like let's go back to the championship game. BIC being able to neutralize the return was
Mm-hmm.
a huge piece of them winning the championship.
Absolutely.
And the only thing that really, and I hate to put it this way, but the only thing that really kind of sticks in my craw with that is having a shortened field and not making the change from the beginning as far as where you're throwing off from, knowing that the field is shorter than 100 yards. That's
Yeah,
all I'm saying. And the reason why that sticks out to me, I'm not going to say anything else about the damn game because I really, BIC won. That's the end. But the reason why this sticks out to me is because this, not division, this whole A7FL, we pride ourselves on the fact of that being the most
exciting play.
exciting play. But how can it be the most exciting play when you know you have a shortened field, yet you're throwing it off where they're going to throw it out of the back of the end zone?
Well, and I mean credit the player who was able to execute throwing
Yeah,
it all
no,
the way out the back.
don't get
Yeah,
me
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. No,
There's
no, no.
nothing
I'm
I'm
just
taking away from him being able to do
yeah.
that. But I
'Cause
mean, if you have a shortened field, would he still be able to do that on a 100-yard field?
Huff can. I don't know if Bagway could have, and Huff is not on BIC. So obviously that is a good point, and I think it's fair to bring up. In regards to the conversation we were talking about Lavish, I
Mm-hmm.
think if Sick had Lavish, they would have been better for sure. But where Lavish was so dangerous and such a versatile weapon for Sick, in my opinion, was when he was in the backfield.
Yeah, running back
You could use him as a guy to hand the ball off to. You
or as a
could
wide
use him
receiver.
as the guy that went in motion and there was a mismatch now that he's like on a linebacker or a safety type, and he would
Yeah.
eat that matchup up. And it would just be another guy that you would have to account for. And as dangerous as he was on the 3-on-1, I think he made that offense even more dynamic. And I think they did miss him a little bit. But again, when we look at those lists, he's obviously not on there. But I bet you a guy who kind of replaced not necessarily his role, but a lot of his production in Siobhan Richardson, that he steps right up in there. Are
What's
there
up,
any other
Mason?
guys What's
Yeah,
up,
but
Mason?
you know what though, Corey, I gotta kind of interject and say the thing about it is when you look at the way that Sickwood played, and they play predominantly with three wide receivers, so your XYZ. I think that the place that Lavish was missing was that second Y um, player, because when you can't account for him is when he made his biggest plays. When he came out of the backfield
The,
on a
the wheel route.
hesitation,
The wheel route.
well, it wasn't just a wheel route. He also came out in a hesitation, so he would block, then be
Dip
in the
out.
flat and be wide the hell open.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, once he got the ball, that was he was a difference maker, because now it's catch him if you can, and a lot of teams couldn't. So to me, that's where that home run was missing from the backfield. That could have been Stone King's outlet, his safety blanket, if you will. I mean, he had an incredible year, but at the same time, I think with Lavish, it would have been, he could have been that difference maker, that piece that every team would like to have, but not every team does.
Another guy, just to kind of put another conversation out there. I'm gonna go all the way up to number 16 on our list, and a rookie running back that we thought would be an electrifying player in the in his future at the time last year when we made this list. Number 16, Quanny Morgan. To me, the Animals added Amari Thomas, and when Morgan was in games, he would show, the type of player he was. But I barely saw him, and in a lot of big games, it was Amari Thomas that actually was the number one back for his multiple skill sets. And it was almost, not to say that he's not talented, but it was almost a disappointing season for Quanny. And I hope he has a bounce back year next year, because he was 16 as a rookie his sophomore year, his second year this year. He's certainly not going to be that high. And for the amount of talent that he does have, I think he could get back up here. And it'll be interesting to see if he, stays with the Animals, decides to try somewhere else, or how his career progresses. But it kind of speaks again to that, lack of true running back stats in this year's A7FL.
Yeah, and I think that this year more than any, it seemed like there's a lot of teams that were gearing up to stop the run. We already saw a lot of man coverage, but it seemed like there was a lot more, making sure that teams became one-dimensional. And I would like to see us get back to teams that are kind of balanced on their attack. And it's going to be interesting. We look at the 2 years and the stark differences between what we had in our top 50 last season and how dominant the running backs were last season compared to this season, where we all can agree the wide receivers are going to be the dominant piece. So it's going to be very interesting when we do this this top 50, and as we go through it, it's going to be one of those where, Corey, I'm going to say, can we save the wide receivers for last?
Yeah, man, let's do it. I would say even more so, guys. Look, if you go back to 2014 and look at the 11 champions of the A7FL, the teams that won, except for a couple, are built like the Insomniacs were the last two championship teams. They have a great defense, good offensive line, approach the offensive side of the ball by starting with the running game and working through the rest of their offense through play actions and one-on-one coverage. That archetype of team explains all of the U championships, because once Quattro Huffin, turned his offense into a little bit more pass happy, the U actually became a less dominant team. There's a lot of reason to go into that, but let's just keep going. The Chiefs The Union City Chiefs, when they won, they were a run heavy team. You look at BIC when they won, their quarterback was CP3. I love CP3 and he's an electrifying player, but that team ran through courage, right? So it was really for the first time in the history of the A7FL, because even Sterry's first year as a champion over the U, that was a 50-50 offense that was still running the ball a lot with Courage Mosey, or keeping the ball on the ground with their quarterback and design runs. So this, in my opinion, guys, is really the first ever, or I'll say the third ever, you know, pass first offense to win an A7FL championship alongside the Pennsylvania Immortals when they won in 19. And I believe it was 2016 when another Pennsylvania team, the A team, won, and they were pass heavy as well. So it's interesting, not only just the position of wide receiver, but the evolution of the league might follow the archetype of what BIC did and what the Animals are doing, where their number one rush threat is their quarterback, because they call so many pass plays that with the accuracy of their quarterback, their best rush option is when you overcompensate your defense to stop the pass, and you have to deal with a David Tender or a Sterry Codgerton, getting loose
As a
and
runner.
getting chunk yardage because you're focused on wide receivers that are beating your one-on-one coverage. So again, interesting development, but I think to your point, Chris, before this year, including teams that won it outside of the division, like the Baltimore Gators when they won it for Maryland, obviously the Las Vegas Insomniacs, which is a run-heavy team, um, and even much before that, all throughout the history, this is a unique year as far as offensive output and schemes are concerned.
I would agree. And I think that when you start to break down some of these teams, I think what we're going to see, my humble opinion, what we're going to see next year is going to be teams that are going to bring back that run first style. So that way the play action brings a little bit more. And I think that that is the direction now that we're going to go. Um, because I don't think that teams can just be pass happy. And I think that it's a situation where, like what BIC was saying when they played sick with it, right? Hey, if they want to do a run and a touchdown, one and touchdown, great. That puts us back out on, and we'll grind out another touchdown and take time off the clock, which is a really good piece. But
make the clock our ally.
exactly. And so if you as a team start to understand where teams are trying to take you, I think that this is going to be a piece that we'll probably see a little bit more of next season, which is a lot of teams trying to take time off the clock, so that way the other side of the ball, the offense, doesn't have the quite the time that they think they do to run down to kind of drive down the field for the touchdown. Is what I'm trying to get at. So it should be interesting to see what happens this offseason. It's going to be even more interesting to see where players are playing next season. No, I don't have any great, rumors
Not
or
yet.
anything like that. Not yet.
Hit us up in the comments.
It's way too early for that. Yeah, you can hit us up in the comments, but way too early for that. But what I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next season. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, are there any names, now that we've kind of got the negative a little bit out of the way?
Yeah.
Are there any names that you see that were lower on last year's list that might take a huge jump? Now, if you guys need to look, I can filibuster for a second. It's in our chat, like some of the most recent messages.
I think for me, I think Justin Shepard might move up because of his play, what he did in the run game this year as opposed to what he did on defense last year. I mean, he was a very vital part of the Stealth's offense and their run game. So I think he might take a step forward.
That would be big, because we kind of put a premium on good corners, part of because of the conversation we just had, but and we just said moving him to running back, but he was at like 26 or 27 dubs. So that if he's able to jump up from there, I'll say this: he must have had a pretty damn good year for the Stealth. Was he like their main and most consistent offensive weapon? You would say?
Yep.
One of them for sure.
I'm gonna go out. And this isn't going to be a surprise to anybody, but I'm gonna go out and on a limb and say that I think the biggest jumper for me is going to be David Tender.
I mean, yeah, Tender was in the teens. You think he'll
Yeah.
be up there closer to 1, 2, 3?
Well, I think it's going to be hard to keep him out of the top 10. And the reason why I say that is because last year it was kind of an anomaly, right? We were very taken with what his abilities were.
Yeah, he
But
put
I
up
think
stats,
that,
but he was losing games. Yeah.
yes, and this year, that all changed and we saw him become a leader. So that's why I think that if I had to pick somebody that I think is going to make a big jump, I think it might be him.
Yeah, we had Tender at 15. I think that Scooter Hamilton's going to potentially jump, but I don't know if that's the biggest jump.
I think I could see Scooter in the top 10 as well. So I mean, you look at those two players, and it's like, okay, those guys are. But I was trying. What I was trying to do was go back. I wanted to look at the 40s. I wanted to look at the from 50 to 40 to see if there's anybody that we could see that would have a major jump. But there's a lot of guys that were down in that area that unfortunately didn't play
Yeah,
or didn't play as well as they did the year before.
I would say the
Chris
Ramses.
Cunningham's down there.
I say the Ramses would jump up from 46.
I think they could. I think Chris Cunningham could jump up. I think
Yes.
that let's see.
I mean, a couple weeks ago, I think it was last week, we were talking about Cunningham in the DPOY.
Yeah,
We were.
So
I think he
probably
could
take the
jump
jump.
up there. Yep. And I'm just trying to look at some of the others, but those are the guys that stand out.
I think a really interesting little block of guys starting at 24, Jeremy Rivas, which is a good placement. 25, Manny Diaz. 26, Keno Thomas. And Shep at 27. That little sweet spot there, those four guys, to me, I think they did have pretty good years. Now, I think an interesting guy to mention is Keno Thomas, who last year, much more of a team success. I think it's obvious to say that when it was the Kin City Chaos, statistically, Keno looked like a more dominant player. But I'll say this, his performance, albeit a little sloppy, but his performance against the Renegades with that QC Crush team in the playoffs, the way in which he gutted it out. Now, I'll throw him a little bit of bail. The wind that day was atrocious, and I played earlier on in that day, and I was able to. I had a rough day myself. I played BIC. I was able to cut through the wind a little bit better than he did, but he was having trouble locating the ball when he was throwing the ball due to the wind. However, if it wasn't for Kyle Ward for the Renegades, Keno beats that Renegades team that we were just talking about was a play or two away from beating BIC not once but twice.
Correct.
And if we really just put that into perspective, yes, in my opinion, Keno Thomas had a sloppy day that day. He did not look like he had it as a passer.
Well,
But the way in which he gutted it out and just fought for his team and pretty much carried them into contention against a team that I think was much better than they were. I would just want to kind of give him his credit because last year he was supposed to get his opportunity back at wide receiver, his natural position, and he stepped up for his team. And the QC Crush weren't great, but they were at their best in the late parts of the season when Keno himself started to pick up his stride, and they started to follow his lead. So kudos to him. But again, that's that little sweet spot. Rivas, great linebacker.
Well, I think there's one that we're kind of overlooking right now
Yep.
that I haven't heard anybody mention, and that is Manny Diaz.
Yeah, he's in that sweet spot for sure.
I mean, I think that Manny is one of those players that we could really see move up the list because of what he was able to do as a wide receiver this season. It was, he was Tender's security blanket. And you saw that. I mean, Tender himself could say, no, that's not true. All you have to do is put in any of the games and watch them, and you could see him go to Manny when Manny was double covered. So I would have to say that Mr. Diaz is another one I could possibly see jump up.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean,
What's up, Willie?
what's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Matt Ryan would say that's Murdoch from Lethal Weapon.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
He's too young to be Murdoch.
Well, he was working grown man hours the first time we ever saw him in that Vegas fall that me, Matt, and Rob called, and he was playing quarterback for OTT. And when he would get in there, he would ball out, but then would be out for like the rest of the game. And he admitted later that he was beat, dead tired. After one of them was after he had like an 80-yard run.
Yeah.
So shout outs to Perry. That's for sure, my guy.
Yeah, he told me that after that first season, he said, "Yeah, man, I got to get back into shape."
Yeah, no, that
and
was
round ain't a shape.
No, he has gotten in much better shape. I've seen him now. He plays like almost every down at either defensive end or whatever position.
Trust me, man, he was balling out as a friggin' defensive end.
So maybe we have to take a long look and see see how he played this year. But talk about Manny Diaz. When we talk about the top end of this list, we're going to mention Siobhan Richardson just based on like the pure stats he put out there. And we're obviously going to talk about Kason Campbell's record-breaking season. But when it comes down to it, the third best wide receiver in a league with Eric Shuford and David Clark and Kyle Ward and even Ashante Worthy, statistically the third best guy in the league was Manny Diaz. And by all accounts, he's either a free agent or likely joining the BIC this year. That something happened in where whatever
something did happen,
City
but
is.
I don't think you missed and I don't know if I can't remember if you were on, but it was not BIC. I think CP3, if I'm not mistaken, was saying that Manny Diaz is probably going to be a renegade.
Yeah, well, based on what I've been seeing on the page, CP3 is going through something with all these people. So, not that he's wrong on Manny Diaz. And listen, just imagine that, Anthony Service with a Manny Diaz. But my question would be, if you're the number one target for one of the most prolific passers in a league, how do you improve your production by going to a team like BIC that does have another prolific quarterback, but has had a record-breaking number one wide receiver, and by the way,
and already has a number two
and a 1B wide receiver because Ashante Worthy's nobody's number two, right? It's like the Bono episode of South Park. By the way, shout outs to South Park for a lot recently, but it's like the Bono episode of South Park. He just Ashante Worthy is not gonna ever be somebody's number two. He'll figure out a way. But
it's just his jersey number.
He wears all kinds of jersey numbers, man. He wears number 3 and 6. It just says Hollywood. Last year he was number 3, bro.
He was?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a marketing ploy. I think he's trying to get the fans to continue to buy new jerseys, like LeBron James does when he changes teams.
Yeah,
anyway, that's Chris's favorite basketball player. But
who's favorite basketball player? LeBron.
Don't.
Now, why are you gonna go there?
Oh, here we go.
Man,
I got him.
why you got to bring up that bitch?
Oh, yes.
Because his son is just as good of a player. I'm sure that will make you,
Man,
wax
both of them
poetically
soft as Charmin. Come on,
Listen.
I wipe my ass with both of them.
Nice. You know what? Sitting there on this tiny screen on my phone, which means you don't, but you kind of look like LeVar Ball as you say that right now. Chris, are you dunking on LeBron?
Yeah,
Remember
my
when-
ball's on his face.
Yo,
Anyway.
oh my God.
Oh, he's
wow,
teabagging
in the
him. Oh,
face.
baby.
Listen, he was talking about basketballs, by the way, guys. Anybody who's trying to demonetize this video, just chill the F out.
Basketball.
All right, so Manny Diaz, man, 26-ish, 25. Yeah, I think he takes a jump. And honestly, guys, there's some debut players that I think we can preview with the last 10 minutes. We've been talking recently when we were talking about awards about all the rookies and the kind of the deep conversation of guys that are new to this league last year and made an impact to probably make this list. Who are some of the guys that stand out that aren't the nominees? Because you know how we were talking about we don't want to just nominate the same guys over and over again.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure, Canyon Stone King, Siobhan Richardson, and Moses Smith are up here somehow. I think.
Yes.
Right?
Somehow, somewhere.
Shannon
And-
Allen, absolutely up here. And you know who? You know who was number 50 on our list, guys? Or 49. He might have been 49. But William Carswell.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think
Well,
he's
gonna
He
take a
will
big
take a
jump.
huge leap. Yes.
he's known to leap, guys. He's known. He's
But
known
my
as a
question is
jumper.
my question is, do we put him in at corner or do we put him in at safety?
Well,
Or
that's
do we
that.
just-
Remember we
Yeah,
had
he's that
athlete?
athlete. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a whole.
He's
thing.
that athlete.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And
But for that
Brian-
matter, you could say the same thing about Prime.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we could have fun. I mean, let's be clear. As much as we love, Stone King was nice. As much as we love, excuse me, I should have muted. I was just trying to keep that noise out of here. We'll say Sprite had something to do with it. Shout out to
Oh.
Sprite.
Obey your thirst.
No, they didn't pay us for that.
No,
Don't say that. No.
obey your burps.
Yeah, exactly. Chris knew what I was talking about.
Oh yeah.
Or your
As
manliness.
much as we love Bagway and Logo, they're not going to make this list, probably. Bagway was awesome in the couple of games he played. Matt Riddick, same thing. Two appearances does not make a
No.
A7FL top 50 list.
No.
Um,
Logo wasn't even in didn't even play this season. So
No.
So who are some guys who debut on the list, even if they're not rookies, guys, that aren't on this list last year that you think are got names to look out for as we start?
well,
to
we've said a
construct
couple of
this
them.
list?
We've said Siobhan, we said Stone King.
Well, I
think
got
both of them are on this list this year.
I got two more for you. I got, of course, Derek Knight from the Gold and Big Sean Russell from the Stealth. I think those two might find themselves somewhere on this list, maybe at the lower tier. But for me, I definitely think those two gentlemen will make their way onto the list. I think
Would agree.
I think Mateo from the Stealth, who was their best quarterback option, I think he might find himself on the lower tier in this list also from the Stealth. Let us see.
So that's as you guys do.
Wait, hold on. Who was
The other
the
side.
and I'm sorry for forgetting his name. The defensive end from the Animals.
What? Trey Baskerville?
Yes.
Trey Baskerville wasn't on the list last year.
Dude, go ahead and look through it. I don't think he was.
Damn, that's crazy.
And I'll start looking now, but I do not think he was on.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, he was on Snow Tribe, right? So I mean, it's like, sometimes you kind of, you get phased out when you're on a team that's really not successful, and it's hard to make that claim. How impactful you could be, I guess. Yeah, that's crazy that he wasn't on. For sure, Trey Baskerville is up on the list this year. That's a good. That's a
And
good
my
catch, Chris.
apologies for forgetting his name right off the
No,
bat.
I
had
mean,
to think
listen.
about it.
You knew who we were talking about because you knew his name wasn't on the list, so you knew his name if you saw it, and since you
Yep.
didn't see it, you were reminded.
I don't see him on the list.
The manly list of man.
So
And I think that he's going to be high on that list.
yeah,
He's going
I
to be
think for sure.
high.
I think Anthony Service definitely going to make the list.
Yeah.
I think a couple of renegades might make the list that weren't on the list, and we talked about Damon Smalls, the notorious enormous Smalls, NES. And I think we might have a few names at quarterback that look a little different. We lose a couple of names. Obviously, Stone King kind of just replaces where Geary was.
Yeah.
But if you look at last year's list, we had.
But do you just? And sorry, I have to preface because I heard you when you said I think that Stone King just replaces Gary. I don't know where Stone King will end up on that list.
Yeah.
Gary,
We're not
Gary
putting anybody in order yet.
No.
Yeah.
But in no particular order, last year it was Sterry, Geary, Hamilton, Tender, Buck, and Huff.
Yes.
I believe are our 7.
And of course, Mr. Perry is of course saying his little piece because he wants to be on the list this year.
Like I said, we're gonna look at the film, right?
Yeah.
But if the top,
he had some big plays. Don't get me wrong. Perry had some big plays this year.
Yes.
So I'm gonna play this game with you as we end. We got 4 minutes. Top
3.
7 quarterbacks. Tell me yes or no from last year.
Okay.
And then I'll count them on my hand so that that's the only way I can kind of keep track of it. I'll just use my fingers. I think I have enough still. Yep. And tell me if yes or no, and then I'll just say how many are left of the top 7.
Okay.
And if it's a maybe, we'll just say no, and then maybe you can slide back in. So Sterry, I would say is a
yes.
Yes.
Scott Hamilton.
Yes.
David Tender.
Yes.
And then here's some no's right off the bat. Jeremy Geary.
No.
Quattro Huffin.
No.
Yeah, right. OG Buck.
No.
Well, at least for now, right? And then
Possibly.
Who's the last guy I'm forgetting?
From last season?
I guess he wasn't that memorable, so we can't remember him.
Right?
What was it? Fox? Was he on this list?
Fox.
Fox.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a no.
Fox is a no. So guys,
No.
that means that we have 3 yeses
3.
for sure
Yes.
out of the 7. I mean, we don't have to set it in stone, but what are some of the names that you think slide up there from last year? Because Canyon Stone King, I think, is one of those guys.
Correct.
Yep. Well, I think we gotta, you know what, and I think we should just leave it there for right now.
Okay.
We got a minute. I think we should just leave it there because we're gonna start the by committee. We'll start next week. You guys got to tune in. We'll start next week, and we'll start to look at the top 7 from each position.
And hopefully we will have more panelists to join us because, again, it would be very great to get their input.
Everybody's input.
Yes.
So what position do you guys think we should start this shebang off with?
I think what we should do, my humble opinion, we should start defense at a position, then offense, then defense, and just rotate.
All right. So next week's show, gentlemen, we will start in the trenches.
Oh, yes.
With the defensive line.
Yes.
Okay. I'm good with
and
that.
Fans of this show, commenters in our comment section, we're going to start with the defensive end, defensive tackles, those pass rushers.
Start throwing names.
The so important pass rushers. And we will give you
and the rest of the
A7FL other side of the ball. Top 7 defensive ends of 2025.
Defensive linemen.
So other
defensive ends.
Defensive linemen of 2025.
So other panelists that are on this network, come
Get
on
your
the
butts
show.
on here.
Yes, because we need your manly input of man.
And that means
they don't show up
you, Mr. Pernada. That means you, Mr. Mizzle. That means you, Mr. Duncan. That means you, CP3. That means you. Who am I missing? Knox. All of y'all.
And listen,
we need to have everybody on here.
This next guy doesn't have to stay the whole show. But can we just get a correspondence from Asgard from the great Bjorn Skarsgård?
Dude, I don't know where Scotty is, man.
I know he's fucking
he like
riding
fell
that
off the
rainbow
face of the
bridge.
friggin' earth.
Or jumping out of airplanes.
Yeah. Perfectly
A guy named Bjorn Skarsgård takes long ships.
I'm sorry, did you say
and the
long
people
ships
just
or
have
long
to wait.
ships?
Ships.
Oh, ships. I thought he said long.
He might take long manly.
He
might take long manlies. I don't know. Anything's possible.
Somehow, the Viking joke of our friend Scott McCorkle still turned into a butt joke. Thank you, Scott McCorkle.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Butt Naked Booty Scoots.
There you go.
Well, on that note, folks, thank you for joining us once again on episode 147. So again, episode 148, we talk about who is your top 7 defensive linemen, big boys on the front line on defense, if you will. Hopefully, we'll have some more panelists next week. But in the meantime,
we're gonna talk about ours. In the comments, you can talk about yours, but tune in for the top 7
defensive linemen
of 2025. With that said, folks, for Chris, for Corey, I'm Dub. As always, we appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you next week, and we'll see you on the other side of the ball. Take care of yourself and each other.
Toodles.